Welcome to The Impossible, where we empower others to face the impossible, inspire them to be impossible, and motivate them to do the impossible. I'm Matt, and as always, I'm here with my brother Austin. How you doing today, man?
Fantastic. Hello, everybody.
Back in the studio again. Today, guys, we have another very exciting episode for you, and it is actually another return guest for us. We have not had a lot of return guests, but this man is an athlete, he's a father, and he's lived many, many hats in his past lives, from building bridges to working in law offices to teaching children foreign languages in second and third world countries. And now he's on the road for some very exciting things in his life, competitively as a powerlifter and professionally as he enters into his journey in law school. And today we want to welcome back to the show to talk about his journey ahead, Paul Maxsween. How you doing today, man?
Good.
Thanks for coming back on, dude.
Yeah, thank you, bud.
Always good to be here.
Yeah. So that was a pretty intense squat session we had yesterday, huh?
Yeah, no, it was good.
That was a good one. I know we got there about 5:30 to help Pete and Wade squat, and they hit some big numbers. And then we hung around till the next crew gets there, and Clayton had some big numbers lined up. You had some big numbers lined up. I was hoping to hit some big stuff, and then James went kind of crazy, hitting some crazy big stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Really quick out the gate too, man. Yeah. He was fired up.
He had to 5 pounds above weight.
Yeah. I think that's what people say. He's like, I don't care what I do. I just got to do 5 pounds heavier than Wade.
Yeah. I was like, I like it.
That's fair. It makes sense.
Let's do it. Yeah. We're already here.
Yeah. It's these squat Saturdays, man, what they've grown into, and especially yesterday, there were just so many people. And then Natalie came down because she was on the show yesterday and brought her son Leo, and Tim ended up coming in a little early because he had some work scheduling conflicts. So what has been your perspective since you joined the Saturday squat crew? It's probably been a couple years now, right? Like how have you seen these squats grow, and like, what has it meant to you to just see the development, see the community, see the family come together for this?
I mean, it's changed my whole entire, not just squat, but I mean, everything. I mean, since October of 2022, I've been back there every Saturday. And it's just changed my whole entire life, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And how much has your squat grown since October 2022 to March 2024? A year and a half, basically.
I don't know how much so what started me going back there was in the end of September 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I hit a ugly 500-pound squat. It wouldn't count for anything, but I attempted it. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I didn't, but
was it gym PR though? Like you hit depth,
it was ugly.
Yeah.
It was very brutal.
Yeah.
And Gary was like, "You need to squat on Saturday with the guys." And I didn't really know them at the time. I just knew Gary, Greg, and I obviously knew Clayton, but I didn't know like Matt and all them and Tab, and I'd seen them, but I never worked out with them. And I remember I go back there that first Saturday. It was like the first weekend of October, and Matt James was like, "You really a 500-pound squatter?" I'm like, "Yeah." And after we were done, he's like, "You really are a 500-pound squatter." So I was at 500 pounds. Then we had 683 yesterday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and you were right there with it.
Yeah.
Like right there, and it's going to be here in April for sure. Plus then some. So that's like 180 pounds added on your squat in just a year and a half.
Yeah.
Past 500 pounds. It's not like you were at 225 and went to 400 plus.
No.
Like you were already at 500 pounds, which is a pretty huge milestone for any power lifter in any lift.
Yeah.
So
now 500 is just rep weight.
Yeah, it's warm up weight for you basically.
I don't really do much with it anymore.
Yeah, you were literally doing like pause reps with it on off days, on like deadlift days, right?
Yeah. For secondary squat day.
Yeah. And all of that too from, you've been powerlifting for what, like 2 years ish now?
competitively a year and a half.
Okay. So just about the same amount of time in powerlifting.
Yeah, like I started my first prep at the 500-pound squat.
Okay. And that's honestly not a very long time to be competing. Like you're still kind of like you've still got a lot of competitive years left, a lot of time to continue growing in this. And that's what's always blown me and I think everybody else away about you is just the pure potential that you're discovering and unfolding.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people in this space that will train passionately and hard all year long to put 10, 20 pounds on their total. And you're jumping like 100 pounds every meet just about, which is wild, man. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, I think I hit 635 last meet.
Yeah. And you just squatted 672 for a good rep a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so we're pretty past what we were.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm excited to see what you throw down at this competition.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess beyond just the strength and the pursuit of the squat itself, how do you think, because there's obviously something different about Monsters compared to like any other commercial gym that I've been at anyway. What do you think it is that really stands out? Like when we go to these squat Saturdays and everybody's there chasing their highest potential and people are just constantly hitting big numbers. Like I don't think any of us would succeed on those days at the level we do if we were training alone.
No, I agree 100% because, I mean, if I come in and I'm not feeling the best, someone will remind me what I'm there for, or I have to remind them. And I mean, no matter, I think what makes it that so successful is the fact that every single person knows what they're there, what we're doing, you know what I mean, what we're there for, and they understand like, hey, he might be coming in if he has a bad day, you know, like we've been around each other enough and been transparent enough with each other to where it's like, oh, he's having an off day, like we got to get you feeling a little better, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like get out your, you know, if you're in your head, you're in your feelings, you're in your emotions, been a rough week, whatever, we're in a place where you can say that. Like, dude, I've had a rough week, man. Like, it was rough getting in here today. You know what I mean? I had a hard time. Like, I didn't really want to do this today. You know, it's in a place you can say that, and no one's going to be like, oh, well, he's having a bad attitude. They're going to be like, what can we do to make him feel accepted to where he's going to want to do what he needs to do?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Know?
Just a positive environment.
Exactly, yeah. Like, no matter what's going on, like, say it. Let's get through it. Let's hit the squat rack.
Let's find a solution.
Literally.
Yeah,
let's figure it out.
Yeah, because we've all had those days where like you wake up and the last thing you want to do
is
is
put
go
a heavy barbell on your back.
Yeah, exactly. And like you say, it's an environment where people build every single person around them up.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to like tear somebody down. So like if you go in and say you're just in a spot where you've just got you're feeling awful that day, you got kind of a crappy mindset, like the people around you are going to build you up and make you want to work hard. They're not going to tear you down for coming in like that.
Because at the end of it, it's always giving somebody a hug or fist bump and be like, I needed that.
Yeah.
No matter what, you know what I mean? You would end up regretting not doing it if you would have, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever left a squat Saturday wishing you hadn't gone in?
No. No.
This doesn't even seem conceivably possible.
Honestly, what's crazy is I wish I could have been like, you could have wished you could have done one more rep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, oh man, I want to do that again. But you're like, your body's like, no, not today. You know?
Oh, that's what I was feeling all day yesterday.
It's always you want something more, or you have to tell yourself, okay, save it for next time.
Yeah.
You know? You just get, you know, that time frame, it's just so exciting. Like, just at the end of it, you're feeling good. You're just ready for more. You know, like what are we gonna do next time?
There with the boys.
Yeah, and it's become something that personally, like I live for those squat Saturdays, and I do have to miss them every now and then because I work weekends occasionally, or we're out of town or things like that, and the weeks that when I have to go like a 2 or 3 week stretch without a squat Saturday, man, it is a rough time in my life. And like it's literally like the highest form of therapy I think I have in my life.
It's fantastic.
Now. Yeah.
Dude, I tell you what, when I walked out that 683 yesterday, it felt amazing.
Yeah.
Like just being in a place where I feel comfortable enough to do that, confident enough, and everyone there, like I can go heavy, I can go light, I can walk out, use the mono, I can do whatever I need to, adjust whatever I need to. And I know that whatever we need to do to work on that day, we're in an environment where we can, and somebody's there will know how to help you. You know what I mean? So there's always, I'm never worried about, oh, I'm going to fail something. I'm always going to learn something because, you know, between the group of us, somebody knows something.
Yeah.
On how to help you.
Yeah. And that's what I've always thought is so cool about it. You mentioned how like anybody can go in at any position and what they're chasing. And like, I've always appreciated that so much because you guys are squatting, most of you guys are squatting like double what I am, or at least in that territory. And you're always like, everybody's always so good about being willing to unload hundreds of pounds and reload hundreds of pounds every time so I can work a set in. And that means so much to me because that's a lot of extra work. Like sure, it really is. And when you're trying to like save energy for your squat, man, it's a lot of extra work. So I've always been very, very appreciative of that. And I know that that's just the mindset. Like, you know, like anybody could walk in, somebody could walk in, you know, maybe wanting to just squat for the first time. Exactly. And maybe they're doing like 75 pounds. Right. And somebody would unload.
Get them comfortable under the bar, you know what I mean? Like, there you go.
And somebody would unload 600 pounds just so they could squat.
500%.
Yeah. 5 plates 100%. Off.
Yeah.
5 reps.
That's why I'm kind of excited to get back into the off season because I always tell people, if you want to learn how to squat better, come squat with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I get excited whenever someone, even on my bench day, whatever day it is, you know, throughout the week, because, you know, normally they're Monday, Tuesday, Thursday throughout the week, and people ask me stuff, and they're like, "Oh man, that really worked." Da da da. I'm like, "Come squat with us on Saturdays." I'm telling you, you can get more time. We're running 7 racks out there. You know what I mean?
We'll find a way to make it work.
We'll find a rack to put a bar in.
If we run out, we'll
I will hold the bar.
I was going to say Paul can be the rack.
I will hold the bar and you get under it. You know what I mean? Like we'll get you loaded. But
oh, that's funny.
That'd be hilarious.
That would be amazing.
Just clean the bar up and put on the.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited about the off season because then you get you know, have more time to be able to, you know, hopefully help some people, you know?
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think a lot of times I've always felt that I learn the most by like teaching and helping other people. Yeah. Like when you can have, anytime you can have that detached perspective, that kind of third party mindset to where you're seeing somebody squat and you can see what they're doing well and what they need to improve.
Yeah.
Like that just, it opens your eyes to so much more and allows you to take that perspective into your own performance, your own squats, and then see where you can make some of the same adjustments. But it's really cool how there's so many different styles there. Like there's, you know, we got people doing conjugate all the way. We got people squatting wide. We got people squatting narrow. We got people in squat suits bars, and
equip.
There's just so much to see, and then we got like Seth training strongman. You know, he's going after a totally different style. So it's
true.
It's cool to get those different perspectives and the different insight on where you could go with training, because somebody may notice something that somebody else would not.
Right.
And so having access to that many different perspectives in regards to training, I think really makes it the best thing possible for a educational environment and an environment of growth.
Right. Yeah, because the thing about meet prep is most of, you know, the last 6 weeks specifically, it's all about this has to happen. Like it's more focused more so than, you know, off season or beginning of prep. You know, it's kind of like you have more time to, I don't know how I'm explaining it. Meet prep, you know, everything just has to be kind of on point, on schedule. Very exact. This is what it has to be, you know, off season. You know, I'm looking forward to the meet. The meet's gonna be awesome because we're gonna open up above what I even did at the meet last time. So that's gonna be cool. Won't even touch the weight we did for the December meet.
Yeah, 4.5 months ago.
So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good place to be.
It is a good place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you say, in the off season, you can just have a little more fun with it. Like it's not like if you're feeling really good one day and you want to go in for like a double
hit some
PR,
rep PRs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've hit 600 for, I think the most I've ever done intentionally was 2.
Okay.
Maybe 3, but just
it'd be fun to see how many you could do now.
Yeah. And we got some new specialty bars back there, so
yeah, play around with those.
You have to hit 600 on those too.
Yeah. Every day's PR day.
And I still want a 600-pound front squat.
Oh yeah,
dude, I was so close.
Oh yeah, you were.
It rolled forward just a touch, and I just couldn't. I think we can do it now.
Mm-hmm.
I have to try it. You know, just stuff like that. You know, just what are we going to do this morning?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's cool. Just like you don't always know what's in store for that specific day, but you know it's going to be a great experience.
Yeah, someone can be like, I'm doing upside down push-ups, hangovers, pullovers, with the squat bar on my feet, and you'd be like, oh, cool, I want to try that. It could be the most ridiculous thing. You're like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, the accessories get a little wild sometimes.
No matter what's going on, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, you brought up a point, too, that I wanted to make sure to touch on, and it's this this other piece. So we definitely have the community aspect, the learning aspect. There also has to be an extremely high level of trust.
Oh, yes.
Because, and we saw this firsthand a couple times yesterday. So, you know, the weight we're squatting, it doesn't take that much weight to be able to like crush you if something went wrong. Like, you know, you're looking at like 300 or 400 pounds, you could get pretty seriously injured under that weight if something went wrong.
And we kind of we see it all the time. So it's like, oh, that's normal.
Yeah, we get normalized to this weight.
Thankfully, we've never had any accidents. But.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a reason for that. And just like we saw yesterday, like when you're under, and this is something we were talking about with Natalie, when you're under that weight, and it could be any weight, but that weight that's like 90+% for you, you know, for somebody that may be 100 pounds, for somebody that may be 700 pounds.
Sure.
When you're under that kind of weight, you are in a very vulnerable, exposed position.
100%. Yes.
And I think that's what's so cool about powerlifting is it strips away everything and kind of brings out the core of who you are. And then you make that decision. Everything else in your world fades away. It's just you and the weight. And then you have to make that decision of like, I'm going to choose strength.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that you will 100% hit the lift and you may not miss or something, but like you've got to choose to attempt it.
You have to go after it.
And that's where the courage comes out. And that's where the true strength and bravery comes out, is like just going down to make that attempt. Because whether you get it or not doesn't ultimately matter. But when you choose to start that squat and you choose to like take on that risk and that, and you accept that fear and that danger and you face that and you choose to continue on it in spite of it, that's really where I think the powerful moments come in hand. But what's cool about the Squat Saturdays is you're not actually alone.
Right.
Like you've got all of these people around you. And what's cool is most of the people in Squat Saturdays, like I don't feel like I really know like their full life story that well, honestly. Sure. Like obviously we know yours, we know Clayton's, but there's like some people in there that like I feel like they're some of my best friends in the whole world. Like I understand who they are to the core.
Yeah.
But I may not know their wife's name. I may not know their kids' names, you know?
Exactly.
It's like I may not know that much about their life outside of it, but it's because we all have this common understanding and this common challenge that we've faced, and we've gone to this vulnerable place together that we're able to understand each other so well. And we put such good trust in each other. Because yesterday, when I unloaded 385, I got moving a little too quick with it because I've just never moved with that kind of weight in a squat before. And it started rolling down my back.
And
then with having the one leg, I got off balance. Whenever I get off balance, like with no weight on my back, it's usually a bad time. And when I've got I've never touched 385 before or never hit it. I attempted it once, but I didn't hit it. And so to go for it for a double, like that was new territory for me. But everybody was incredible. They were immediately on me. They got the weight controlled and they got it re-racked.
Yep.
And then the same thing happened with Clayton, except it wasn't 385. It was like 770. And he had like 5 or 6 spotters on him.
Yeah.
And and that weight started rolling on him. And that is an extremely even more dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yet again, everybody was able to act exactly how they needed to. They got it re-racked and no injuries happened whatsoever.
Right.
And that, to put that kind of trust in the people around you, like, what would you describe that? How would you describe that feeling of what it means to be able to trust these people to that level, literally, like with your health and to a point with your life?
Right. No, 100%, because I mean, like you said, if you do not trust what's going on around you, especially doing that kind of stuff, especially it's a life-changing decision to step under a new weight on squats. It literally is. Like, I know it's like, oh, it's just lifting weights, but no, you're making a life-changing decision of attempting that, because whenever you're going for a new weight, you don't know what's going to happen. You know, we train for it, but that's the thing about being with the training with the group is they learned how I squat, they learned how I operate. I know what they're going to do. I know how they're going to react. You know what I mean? So we've taken the time to learn each other to where it's like, oh, okay, we're going up again. And to where, in my head, I'm like, don't have to worry about that part. All I need to worry about is walking it out, settling, going down, going back up. And then, the guys around the sides will know what to do.
Yeah. You know they're taking care of everything else.
Mm-hmm. And that makes it that much better, because, you don't want to squat in a place like that and not be confident in who's behind you.
Yeah.
It kind of ruins your whole thing.
It removes the noise.
It does.
All around you, and allows you to you're in there in that moment.
Because I'm not worried about what the guy behind me is doing. He's spotting me. I'm just worried about keeping my brace and standing back up.
Yeah. I think that makes perfect sense, man. That's, to me, what always really has made powerlifting stand out amongst any other sport, because it's literally like, it is our message encapsulated in a sport. Like you take another sport like bodybuilding, which is a great sport, and I massively respect the people who do it. But it's not often a bodybuilder is under an amount of weight that they don't know if they can hit or not.
Sure.
In my experience, I think a lot of them, do progressive overload. They do all kinds of different training styles, but they're going for, more high volume, better contraction of the muscle. And they're ultimately they're not chasing strength. They're not necessarily even chasing physical performance. They're more chasing a certain look, a certain physique. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But with powerlifting, every time you get under a new weight that you haven't done before, it's facing the impossible.
Yeah.
Because that weight was something that at one point was impossible for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And until you hit it, it remains impossible.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like that growth, that process of training and building and growing stronger, that is being impossible, and ultimately allowing you to achieve that impossible thing. And so to me, it's just rung true more to our exact message than any other sport I've been a part of.
No, it makes sense, because I was hitting triples in prep that I'd never done for triples, intentionally. So just seeing yourself, just setting a goal, that's what it's about. Like, okay, I have a goal. This is what I want to do. And, some days you have to remind yourself, I'm not there. You can't do, I was telling this to talking to somebody the other day. They're like, I see all this and that, da-da-da. I'm like, well, at the end of the day, you can't do what you can't do. Like, you're at where you're at. And that's, that's something you just have to accept. Being able to accept where you're at plays a big part in this, too. Because, like, I'm not where I want to be. Well, 3 months, if you can be 15 pounds above where you're at now, then you're one step closer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I was failing squats on my third attempt set. Now I'm like, that's ridiculous. You know? But that's where I was at the time. You know, so being able to look back and be like, oh, you know, I thought this was like the craziest thing. And now I'm like, I don't even touch that weight.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things that we can find that may not be up to par on the daily basis,
right,
within the day itself. And like you're talking about, with it being so goal oriented and having that schedule that we referred to earlier, gives you the opportunity to take that step back, change your perspective, and go, okay, well, it may not be done today,
right,
but look, I have already scheduled the next day to achieve such a feat.
Yeah, and I think, because like you said, you've got to accept where you are currently. You've got to accept your current strength, your current position. You've got to understand what your capabilities are. And then I think the other big piece of that is you also have to understand where your potential lies.
Sure.
And you have to accept that, because if you just stay confined to where you are now, you're never going to give yourself the permission to grow. But if you look ahead to like, where could I go? Where can I go? I know where I am now. Where can I go? I think developing that clear mental picture of where you want to go and where you tell yourself you're going to go, is another huge aspect to that.
100%.
Because then it builds anticipation and excitement for the future. And we focus on that a lot with the growth of our brand and our business. We're constantly like thinking, how are the decisions we're making today going to play out a year from now? Like, we're constantly thinking about that, and it's this delicate balance of like planning that out and having that vision, and then also focusing on the day ahead of you, the moment ahead of you, to execute in a way that you know will build that vision.
Right.
So it's this balance. And I wanted to ask you, because I think it's something we all understand so well if you've been under the bar as a powerlifter or strength athlete. But I think it's something that's hard to put into words, but I do like to get people's perspectives on it. So was it 2 weeks ago you squatted 672?
Yes.
And that was a new 1 rep PR for you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what is I'm sure you felt this feeling many, many, many times. You probably felt it when you hit 500 the first time,
right,
and now it's like a laughable weight for you. But you felt the same feeling again, maybe even more intensely though, at 672. Describe for us the best you can that feeling of you're under the bar. You face that fear, that impossible of a new weight that you've never attempted before, that you know could crush you. And you choose to go. You choose to execute in spite of that fear. You go down, you hit the depth on the squat, and you come back up, and you struggle against the weight, and you hit the lift, good lift. What is the feeling after, when you've just done something impossible, when you hit a new PR?
Going into that one, because I had chased 300 kilos, which is 661, for a while. I was like, I want to hit it. And I kept falling short. I was like, I'm so far away. You know, I hit 617, I hit 625, I hit like 630, and I was like, okay, what do I have to do it? And I actually hit it right before I started prep for this meet. Because I missed 650 in December, and I was like, there's no way. I said, because someone, I think it was Tab, he's like, it was either Tab or Tim, and they're like, strength's there, you got it. And as soon as they told me that, I was like, 2 weeks after the meet, I'm doing it. And I did it. And I think 2 weeks after that, a month after the meet, I hit 661. I was like, there's no way I can't do it. And so I was like, I have to try it. Absolutely had to try it. And actually, the 661 I had 2 attempts. The first one I barely missed it, and I could not leave until I did it. So I took my little rest period and I went and did it. I was like, there's no way I can't leave the squat room without doing it today. I knew I needed it. And
where'd you find, like, take us to that moment then. You go for the weight and you fail it. And as you well know, for many of our listeners who are not powerlifters, when you go for a max out effort and you don't hit it, it drains your soul.
Yeah.
Like, it is so much energy and strength output. And then not only that, but it taxes your nervous system as well. And you can just feel totally exhausted after an attempt like that. So it emphasizes to be able to make an attempt at a max effort and then recover and go for it again and hit it in the same session. That is a big deal in the powerlifting world.
that was a hard thing. My heart was like, my heart was not content until I did it. I could not leave that squat room until I hit it. I was like, today's the day. I'm not leaving until I do it.
So it makes it seem almost as if there's something in us that we can tap into.
Yeah, I was definitely out of my mind. I was not in my mind in that one. That was purely, I had to do it for me. So I took my mind out of it. I'm like, okay, I know I just tried it, but I got it. And I remember I had to adjust my feet up just a little bit. It was like an inch and a half. And because my feet were set just a touch too far back, and I came forward. And then I was like, if I adjust my feet forward just a little bit, when that bar wants to throw me forward, I'll already be in position to keep the bar path pretty straight to be able to push up through it. And that's exactly what happened. I looked at my first attempt footage and I was like, no, I'm not leaving until I hit this.
Yeah, and that's where our message is born, in those moments like that, where there's no logical explanation to explain why you should have had the strength to do that after a failure.
No, it shouldn't have happened.
Like, theoretically, logically speaking, it should not have happened, yet it did. And it sounds to me like you were able to tap into something deeper than just your physical body.
I had to step outside. I had to step outside of that, like that, knowing that, okay, it's probably a smart idea not to do it again, but I wouldn't have been satisfied.
Well, yeah, you took all limitations off yourself. You didn't give yourself any reason for, oh, I can't hit this. Like, you know, I shouldn't hit this. You just removed any limitation from your mindset. And you tap into something deeper, whether you call it like a spiritual thing, whether you call it a heart, whatever you define that as. I don't think we'll ever know, but I think it's unquestionable that we have something within us, some source of strength and passion that is far greater than what any standard human potential should be. And that is being impossible. Like, that's taking something that you have no business to, like logically, theoretically, by all standard laws of the universe, should not happen, and yet it does.
And so when I did the 672 a couple weeks ago, I'd already knew that I hit the 661, and I knew I needed to hit it, you know, as a stepping stone to, you know, for an end goal. And, you know, that's why I always try to be my best to be intentional every time I squat. You know, if there is something minor that I notice while I'm warming up or whatever, I'll do whatever I can to figure out how to correct it. You know, because you don't want to squat badly consistently, or else you'll squat badly consistently. So if there's something that needs adjusted, I try to, you know, correct it immediately or as quick as possible. You know, not every session goes 100% the way you want it, and that's fine. That's the way it is. But I've had more good days than misses. You know what I mean? I've not very often I haven't missed anymore. But it's just learning yourself, listening to the people around you who are there with you, you know, and figuring out what you need to do to get where you're going. And you know, sometimes we want a big step, sometimes you just need a small step. You know, 5 pounds is 5 pounds more than what you did last time. You know, 5-10 pounds may not seem like a lot, but it is. Mm-hmm. That's a big step going towards a 50-pound PR, you know what I mean? So being able to know when to risk it, know when to just hit a number for you doing it correctly and hitting it.
Yeah, because you're right. There is a balance there. Because as much as we talk about, being impossible, facing the impossible, you've got to. It's a very thin line you've got to ride. Yeah. Because you're not going to walk in the gym next Saturday and throw 1,000 pounds on your back and say be impossible and go do it.
Right, right.
As much as I wish it worked that way, it doesn't work that way. But you can find this very fine line of. This is something that it's got to be something that you're not 100% sure you can do.
Yeah. Yet
at the same time, it's got to be conceivable that it could be within your potential.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not. I'm not gonna go in there. You were talking about the acceptance. What?
Sorry, I broke Austin a little bit.
We broke Austin. It's okay.
Something.
Well, you're talking about acceptance of, where you are, what you need to do. There's some days where you just have to figure out, okay, if you have something, you have to allow yourself, you have to allow your mind to be able to go there. Because you're thinking about this goal number and, your body's telling you, oh, that doesn't make sense. That's more than what you can do. That's more than what you're, whatever. We'll come up with excuses. And we'll start to believe them, accept them, whatever. And then at the end of the day, you want to still do it. It's still your goal. So now you have to allow yourself to take off that limitation and think about it. Actually plan for it. Actually figure out, how do I get there? And then take that risk and push yourself. There's a calculated risk and there's just some risk. Some days, like, I need that number. I have to try it. And if you fail, or if you miss, I wouldn't say fail, because if you already tried, you didn't fail. Failing is allowing yourself to not do it, in my opinion. But if you if you attempt a new weight and you miss it, go look and see what happened. Ask the people who are around you, what happened? How can I grow from here? You have to allow yourself to be able to take that chance, or else you're not going to see what you're able to do.
Well, these acts are going against the grain so aggressively, the grains of survivability that your body's so, warrantingly and so, taken over by on a constant basis. We're going against your body. That's your body saying, no, I need to survive. We don't need to do this.
Right.
Like, you're doing just fine. You don't have to go continue and wait. We're fine. We're strong.
Sure.
And then that, you stripping away that primal feeling, primal desire, stripping that back and exposing it to its rawest form, and convincing it that what you're doing is evolving your ability to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some crucial moments that in our field we get to experience, not only with NPR days, but pretty much every day that we're in the gym. Yeah. Like pushing yourself past those boundaries.
100%.
That's why being impossible in those moments, that's convincing the most primal desire feeling thing that we have in our body, of saying, hold on, this will make us better.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And you get to share that with, your comrades.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing like increasing your bone density with.
That's what we're really chasing.
Very much so.
Nobody cares about the strength. Do it for the bone density.
We don't need the milk.
Yeah, when I'm 95 years old, I'm gonna be like, you know what? You remember that 672 squat?
The stories of senior citizens hitting insane numbers. I watched a video of a 75-year-old man run 100 meters. Like sprinting 100 meters across the soccer field.
Oh yeah, there's crazy. Like there's a dude.
Like
There's a dude who's in his 70s deadlifted 700 pounds.
Like hauling.
On
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah, I saw that guy.
Yeah.
He used to be a world champion.
It's insane. Like, absolutely insane.
And then what they find in the MRIs of not only bone density, but muscle density.
Yes.
Like they had taken an MRI screen of, it was somebody in their 60s who had been not sedative in their lifestyle. Versus sedentary. There we go. Not yeah. Apologies. Yeah, they didn't sedate them. And
You hope.
He's still awake.
and then they had taken somebody 8 to 10 years older who lived an active lifestyle. I think they chose a marathoner. I think.
Oh.
And you had the layer of fat on the exterior on the skin side, and then it was just pure muscle down to the bone. And of course the adipose tissue, the fat, all within, it was mostly fat within the sedentary individual.
No, yeah. See, and it just comes to a point where, I guess I'm kind of at the point where your body craves it. You're craving it. You're not able to back down from a challenge because you're just so wired now to, let's see what I can do.
And that was something that you found like at first when you started lifting, or over time were you able to build upon that desire to
oh,
push
100%,
yourself?
dude. Once I hit that ugly 500, we'll have to get a clip of that. Once
Throw it in some B-roll.
Once I hit the ugly 500, I was like, it's game on. Like, there's no way. Like, I remember December 26th of 2021, I hit 415 for squats. Remember that. Then I didn't train. I was out of town for work for a while. So like my powerlifting kind of was, I was actually on a 12-week strength program. I didn't really know anybody at Monsters when I first started. I was just on a goofy program my brother-in-law did, and I did it. I remember I squatted 415. It was December 26th, 2021. Then I had to go out of town for work, and I was gone for a while. So like, powerlifting training was very inconsistent. It was kind of like, strength training and stuff was, I'd go to a gym if I could, but I'd pretty much stopped working out because of work and stuff. And then that September of 2022, I was able to consistently actually train. So I started back where I left off on squats. I think I had like 405 or something like that, and I just slowly started adding weight. I remember the week before that, maybe I hit 474, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try 500." And then from then on, it was game on.
Yeah, what's that feeling like? Because I think you're absolutely right. Like, once you develop this as a regular part of your life, and not just powerlifting or strength training, once you develop this pursuit of the impossible into your life, because that's really what it is. You're chasing potential,
right? And
that's what the impossible is. It's discovering that potential that you have within yourself that maybe you don't even know about. And the more I go through it, I think there's a second piece to that is required, and that's tearing down limitations, because we are like hardwired to create limitations for ourselves. And not only that, but society around us has default limitations that grow and grow and grow every single day that keep getting placed on us.
Sure.
So we have to program ourselves to instead tear those limitations down so that we can be open to our full potential. But like describe that feeling as best you can for us, because I know it's something that has to be felt more than described. But what is that feeling of hitting that 500 pounds for the first time, hitting that 661 after failing an attempt or missing an attempt? What is that feeling of hitting 672 and an all-time PR? What is the feeling like when that bar is racked and you release that tension?
It's a big relief, but also everything inside you is like, I told you so. You know, every single doubt just goes. You know, it's like, I just did that. You can't undo it now. You know, that's the amazing thing about this. Once you do something, you can't undo it because you already did it. Guess what? You don't get back time. And you did that at that point in time. So there is no doubt in your mind that you did that. You really did it. And you start to think about what did you do to get there? And what does it take? And what is it? And you're like, it was all worth it. You know, that's that feeling. Everything was worth it. Everything you were thinking about, doubting, curious about, not sure about, confident about, you know. Because going into that, you have so many mix of emotions. You're like, oh man, am I going to feel bad if I miss this? Am I going to feel good if I hit it? Am I going to feel great? Am I going to be excited? Am I going to feel, you know? And then you just do it. You're like, when it's time to do it, you just have to do it. You have to forget all that stuff. Remember your cues. Brace. Because there's sometimes you just start going through the motions and stuff. You're just so used to it. You're like, oh, I got 600 pounds on my back. I better brace. You know, because you're just so used to going through stuff. You're like letting yourself be in that moment and feeling everything, feeling how the knurling feels on your back, reminding yourself, you know, remind yourself to feel what it's like to feel your brace. Like you start to do that, those cues automatically. It's like, let me be in that moment. You told me that, you know, be in the moment. And that really helps you just look back and realize, you know, this is how I felt going into it. This is how I felt during it. This is how I felt after it. Some of it's just a relief, like, oh, finally. And some of it, you know, you're ecstatic through the roof, you know. So it's like, no matter how it feels, letting myself experience whatever's going to happen, you know. Allowing yourself to feel the excitement of it or just the release of it, and feeling, because there was so much pressure. It was a lot of pressure. And I took a big old deep breath when I was done. I sat it down. I don't even think I said a word. It was just a big old release of pressure. I was like, that's what it felt. That's all I felt, was just the pressure. And it's like, okay, I can handle that. So I can handle anything above, you know. Let's see how much we can handle, you know, because it wasn't really a weight thing. It was, okay, can I handle the pressure of it being on there, you know?
For the rest of your life, you will be somebody who can squat, or like who has squatted 672 pounds.
Yeah.
Like nobody can ever take that from you. And I think that's what's so cool about that moment, is once you hit that weight, you rack it, it's done. You just did something. You just opened new potential.
Right.
You built something new for yourself. And in doing so, that puts you in a state of peak, pure confidence.
Right.
It's not arrogance. It's not like I'm better than you. It's just pure confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And by having a regular practice of that, it will allow it to carry over to every other single aspect of your life.
100%. Yeah. I try to keep that in mind best I can, you know, because you never know. I have a joke now at the office saying that I have 2 hours marked in every day for the unexpected. And
I like it.
It has to stick to schedule.
I like it.
You know? These are the hours that the chaos is allowed to happen.
Yeah.
If it's unscheduled chaos, then it's not gonna, you know, it can't allow it to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's like when you squat 672, when you like put your health and your life on the line, you go to that vulnerable place.
Yeah.
And then you achieve it. How much easier does that make it to just deal with ordinary problems at work? You know, it just totally changes your perspective, I think.
Some days I just sit at work and think bench press.
Some days.
No,
it's every day.
Yeah, no, some days I think, well, yeah, you're like, if I can accomplish this, then, you know, what can I handle? And some days I'm like, you know what, I'd rather be lifting right now than dealing with people, because people are people, and some days I don't want to deal with myself. I'm like, okay, I can, but I guess in life in general, you know, start to see yourself in a new way. Like, I'm capable of doing that, and what am I capable of in other aspects, you know? What am I, if I can apply the pressure here, you know, where else can I apply pressure? You know, what else can I
like that?
What else can I do? Where else can I learn from my mistakes and grow and learn, and what else am I doing right to where I can keep repetitively doing this so I can, you know, set new goals? Mm-hmm. It's not always, you know, there's some days I go in and squat for weeks on end. I don't change this daggone thing. I ain't need to learn nothing new. I just need to hit the weight. There's nothing I need to set up different. There's nothing I need to do different. I just need to go in and do the work, you know? And that's awesome, because it's like, oh, I've been doing this correctly enough to where I'm automatically doing that. It's just the fact of, you need to go up whatever the weight is each week. But then there's some days, you know, oh, that was a little rough, you know, but that happens less often than having, you know, on days, you know. But you need a good balance of that. If not, because like yesterday, I was literally, during warm-ups, we had 4 reds on the bars, like 496, whatever it is. And I realized I wasn't even paying attention. You know, I was just kind of going through the warm-ups. And I was like, this is, after I'd done it, I was like, this is wild. I'm like, yeah, wasn't even paying attention to my brace, wasn't even paying attention to anything. I was just getting under the bar and doing it, you know. Then I've been doing 5 red warm-ups. So from, 25 kilo bar to 606 pounds. So just straight red plates, 110 pound jumps. And I was like, I should probably pay attention to what I'm feeling right now. You know? I was just on autopilot. I was just automatically just doing it. I was like, I want to think about what I'm actually doing. Like, take the time to feel my brace, feel where I'm at on the bar, and feel how my core feels when I stand up, and how how the pressure is on my back and all that stuff. Like, I was like, I should probably pay a little more attention today, because it was a very important squat day. You know, but I just get so used to the cues and this and that. You know, some days I feel like that at work too. Like, oh, here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. And then sometimes, you know, you go back to think about it. You're like, well, I know I did it, but what did I write up? Did I write up everything? Did I forget anything? You know, we just get so stuck in this automatic mindset of being good at it, being used to it. You're like, you know, you want to feel the humanity of it. You want to feel the texture of it. Mm-hmm. You want to feel the, basically the checklist of it. Like, I did all that. Mm-hmm. I did this. You know, go back and check it. Yeah. See what's really going on. And, you know, that's an important thing of, okay, I know I can do that, but what did I do to get there?
Yeah. Monotony can creep in.
Yeah. Is it, like, would you almost say we have to develop this mindset of, like, approaching every single thing we do in life as if it's a 683 pound squat?
Yeah.
Like, approach that was one thing. I say that because there was one thing we noticed, not this year at the Arnold, but last year at the Arnold. We saw that deadlift session at the Strength Co. where those guys were pulling, I think was Jesus there, and a bunch of big guys were pulling like 800-900 pounds or whatever.
No, that was Shane Hunt and TD Smash.
Okay, yeah. All them. Yeah, a lot of big guys. But what was cool about it is I noticed, and it was funny, I think it was maybe Tim we were talking to about this yesterday. It was like every single person that went up and deadlifted, they approached 135 with the exact same finesse and intensity that
Right.
they approached 900 pounds.
Exactly. Yes.
And so I just wonder,
Yeah.
is that potentially a worthwhile pursuit to get yourself to this point where you approach everything with kind of a max effort mentality?
100%. Because why would I expect my max effort to go better than my warm-ups?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to have terrible warm-ups and then think you're going to have a great max?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
And it makes sense
Yeah.
too, I think, because then you're not just warming up your body, you're warming up your mind to hit all those, like focus on the brace, focus on the breath, focus on the positioning. You know, you're getting your brain going through those motions too, because if you miss the brace at 225, it's not going to be as big a deal as if you miss the brace at 600 plus.
But once you do your warm-up, you can't go back.
Yeah.
So it's you get to this one rep max and you're like, what did I do to get here? Well, if you don't realize if you weren't paying attention to what you were doing to get there, then there's no one doing what you already did.
Yeah.
So if you do that whole thing with intentionality, because that's why I tell Matt James all the time, my goal is to come in there and do my 1 rep max with the same intensity as I do a warm-up squat, simply for the fact that I'm going to give it everything I have, you know? And I try to do 496 the same speed as 165, you know, jumping up and going up in weight. My goal is to be able to handle no matter what's on my back with the same intensity. So if I warm up that way, where, okay, I'm going to hit this and fly out as fast as I can, in control of it, obviously, but, you know, put the same amount of intensity in every single rep, every single warm up with intention. When I get to the new weight or, you know, your top working set, you know that, okay, I can put this into it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that kind of max effort mentality or max effort mindset. Like that's good stuff. And you've spent a long time prepping for this. You've got a big meet coming up for you.
Oh yeah.
Here in April.
Yeah.
What's significant? What's special about this meet? What's your plans for it? And what are you working toward?
Well, I'll be able to hit a qualifying dot score for the national meet, the America's Nationals in October 12th, actually. And I didn't know when I started if I was gonna be competitive. You know, I didn't know. I just wanted to have fun with my friends. You know, everyone at Monsters, a lot of people at Monsters compete. You just get around it, and they're like, "Come out and do it with us and see what happens." And as soon as I did it, I was in a whole new world. I was in a whole new place. I found something that I excelled in. I was very enjoying the whole process. I enjoyed everything about it. I was like, this is cool. And now I'm starting to get competitive, and I just want to see what we can do. You know, I found something I'm good at. I found something I enjoy, and it seems to be good for me.
Yeah. So what are you chasing number-wise for this meet?
I need a 1740 total is what I want.
Okay.
So
what's that breakdown look like in your head right now?
I just did the calculating the other day. It was like a 390 bench, 672 deadlift, and 683 squat.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. And you is it this week you're hitting 385 on bench?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Okay.
On my birthday.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you just hit last PR you had?
I hit 363.
Okay, 363,
Yeah.
so 385 this
And it
time.
moved pretty well.
Yeah, it did move good.
I didn't, and so I'm
had good
excited
speed
about
to
that.
it. Yeah. So this meet is the meet where you can qualify to compete nationally.
Yeah.
And start looking at it chasing some professional meets from there potentially.
Potentially, yes.
So what does it mean to you? Because now you're not just competing for the sake of competing.
Right.
You're competing to be competitive, to be at the highest level, not just for yourself, but amongst all of humanity.
Right.
How does that, or does that, change your mindset and your intensity and how you approach the meet itself?
Well, it does. It does in the fact of you start realizing you're starting to do things that most people will never ever even think about doing. You're like, you hear people tell you all the time, oh, people chase that, da da da, and you're like, I didn't realize the point of it. I didn't realize the impact of it at the time, but looking back, you're like, oh, I hit that 672, and that's something I was just talking about. I hit that 672, and I was like, most people on the planet will never, ever even do that. Like, ever. And I was like, oh, okay. It starts, the gravity of it. The actual reality of it is that most people on the planet, unless you're a strong competitive powerlifter, are never going to do that in their life.
Never even going to attempt it.
Never even going to think about doing that. Why would you want to do that? And so now it's just kind of in the mindset of we're starting to do things that people will never do. So how do we do it very well?
It's like you almost take your potential as a responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. It's treating like you have this gift, you have this ability, and you, more importantly, have this potential to go these places with it. So in a way, it's almost your duty to take it to the highest level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I like it, man. I love it.
That's why I like talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
Because, being in a place where most people don't really do that, it's kind of hard to... That's why it's good to have a community, supportive community that understands and they get it. Because most people will not ever get it. They will never understand. Why would you even think... you tell people... I remember telling people I squatted 500 and they're like, oh, wow, that is insane. And now I'm like...
Isn't that bad for your knees, though?
Yeah. That's the only thing you
get. That's what I always get.
Yeah. I'm like, no.
No. But it's because it's a perfect example of, it's nothing like wrong with these people or their mentality. It's just, that's a perfect example of a societal limitation.
Yes.
That we all have different ones that we just blindly accept without even realizing it. Like, that's the societal message. Squatting heavy is bad for your knees. When really it's the total opposite. I mean, as long as you use proper form, proper progression, things like that, you're going to build the strongest knees of anybody in the world.
Right.
Now certainly you can do it in a way where you can hurt yourself, but if you do it correctly, do it safely, do it properly, you're going to build up strong knees. That's what's allowed me to marathon train
100%
and handle that level of volume at my weight. And with missing a leg is because I've squatted, I've lifted, I've deadlifted.
Yeah.
I've built up strong legs, strong frames, strong joints. So when you're at this meet, we talked a little bit earlier about finding strength from more than just logic, finding strength that's a bit deeper than just your physical body.
Right.
Let's take it to squats, because I know squats are your big lift.
Sure.
You go up for third attempt squat. Let's just say you open well. So let's say you smash 683. Let's say you go for a 700-pound squat, which is a big number. What's going through your brain as you're walking up to that platform? Is there something you're pulling from deeper inside of you that's helping fuel that strength? And if so, what is it?
You really don't want to let people down, But even that is kind of superficial. So you have to even go past that. That's like the first layer you get through. What I think of, like, oh man, all these people are going to be watching. You have to, that's a superficial layer of kind of trying to protect yourself. You know, you have to kind of take that off of there. Like, no, forget them people. This is you. You know, obviously you want to make people proud, but they're not the one who's going to be there squatting with you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, even though it's awesome to have people there watching you, you know, it's always good to have support, but that superficial layer of I got to impress people, take that off. That's whatever, you know, because not everyone's going to be impressed. You know, you kind of have to remind yourself, like, some people get it, some people don't, you know, and you got to stop worrying about what other people think, what other people are going to do. You just have to get up under there, realize that moment is what you've been training for. Like, this is just a stepping stone to a bigger goal. And this is just something you have to get through. And what can you really do? You know, where are you at in that moment? What are you willing to do? And push through it. You know, because when I did that 600, my first meet, that was my third attempt. And I think I'd squatted like 515 in prep. Like nothing even close to where I should be doing a 600 pound squat, you know what I mean? But Matt James was like, you're squatting 600 today, right? I was like, yeah. So I went 530, 560, then 601. I had not done 560 nor I hadn't even done 560, so that was a completely new.
Oh my.
Yeah, the planning on that one was terrible, but I just knew I needed 600. And I saw, you know, what's crazy about it is they go by kilos, like 1 kilo jump. So they had 599 point something on there. And I was like, that is close to 600. And I was like, no, that is not 600. So I did 601. And I was like, I would have let myself walk out of there content in my mind that, I squatted 600, hitting 599.4. And I was like, no, that's cheating. You're hitting 601. And so when I got up there, the only thing I kept telling myself was, don't go back down. No matter what happens, this bar is not allowed to push you back down. And that's something I play in my head every time I go up for my third attempts is, no matter what, don't back down, because that DQs your lip. Like, that'll red light your lift immediately. You know, no up down. And so now it's like, what do I need to do to prevent that? You know, because I know I'm gonna be able to go down fine, but you know. And trying to find, that's why it's good to have a crew who knows you, because tune in your ear to the people around you that you can take advice from even during your lift. You know, like head up, chest up, whatever, get your breath, lean back or whatever cue you're needing at the time. Like having that team around you there to support you, finding your ear to be able to listen to them while you're in that zone of it's just me and the weight. You know,
I love that, man. And there's a lot of layers to unpack there. The one piece that I did want to focus on, though, it's really unique that you brought this up, talking about that superficial layer you talked about of not wanting to let other people down.
Right.
And I think I've actually kind of come to this realization recently. I think there's actually a couple different ways you can approach that, because I get what you're saying. Like, you don't want to just hit this lift just because other people want you to.
Right.
Like, you want it to have significance and meaning to yourself. And you also can't live your life with just basing your actions on what other people are going to think of them, or if you're going to disappoint them or not.
Right.
But I do think we can take that same thing and bring it to a deeper and more meaningful level. And I think what that is when people see you do that lift, it means something to them. And it means something to them so powerful that it could potentially change their life. It could change their view of their own potential. And so in a way, it's tying it back into how you said viewing your own potential is almost a responsibility, is a duty.
I like that.
Duty to yourself and a duty to others, I think. Because there likely is somebody out in that crowd who is limiting themselves from achieving something truly great, something they may want to chase, but they're limiting themselves because they don't believe they can do it. And it may just be watching you squat 700 pounds or whatever it is that unlocks or opens their mind to that potential. And that's something I experienced yesterday when I got under that 385, which I've never hit before, and I went to do it for a double. It wasn't even going for a single. And then not only that, it's like I almost dropped the weight because
Boy, you moved back fast.
I did. It's my own fault 100%, but it was still very taxing on my body.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, so to then turn around and go for a new weight after having done that, the number one thing going through my mind that I'm focused on is Leo was there. Leo's Natalie's daughter, who you guys heard about on last week's episode. Son. Leo is Natalie's son. Sorry, I said that wrong. Leo is Natalie's son, who you guys heard about on last week's episode. And he battled childhood cancer for 3.5 years, and he beat it. And now he's just now getting into lifting, and he's just now to this point in his life where this June he will be considered cured. He will be in survivorship. His cancer will never come back. So he's in this critical point of where his mind is either going to be opened to his potential, or society will try to place limitations on him.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I had the opportunity yesterday because he was in there. He was back there watching me squat, and I could not see him as I'm walking up to this bar, but he's like about the only person I'm thinking about in this moment, because I have this opportunity to show him the potential that lays out there for him. And even if he doesn't want to chase powerlifting, or even if he, doesn't want to squat heavy, whatever it is, that doesn't matter. The thing I realized, this is a very unique, rare opportunity I have to show him that he can do impossible things.
I like that.
And there's nothing in the universe that's going to keep me from hitting that lift when my mind is focused on that, because that is my whole life's purpose.
Yeah, my whole goal right now is everyone back there to be a 600-pound squatter.
Yeah.
I tell them every time I see them, everyone back there, I'm like, you squatting 600 today? Like, no, I'm working towards it. I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Well,
like,
it was fun lifting with you guys.
I'm like, my goal is everyone back here to squat 600. And they're like, their goal for me was for me to squat 600. Now I'm like, just try it.
Yeah, and it's because you found that potential in yourself, you see it in other people. We say that all the time. And when you're opened to other people's potential, you want to see them.
Yeah.
You want to see them realize it in their own lives.
Like, you imagine a whole Saturday where everyone's squatting 600.
Oh yeah, it'd be unreal, dude. It'd be unreal.
You're like, okay.
So that's a good way I think you can approach that mindset of like doing it for other people, but in a way that it's not so that you don't let them down. It's so that you can build them up to a whole new level.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess there is a whole different range of emotions and stuff that now that I haven't done an intentional podcast in a while, or sat there and talked about how there's so many different range of emotions that we go through.
Oh yeah.
It depends on what you need for that day.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it depends on what you need for that day, but the goal is always the same, is to, no matter what, leave it all there. Yeah. No matter what that looks like. Because sometimes on deload days, you get kind of bored, but it's intentional. It's planned, because your body needs that. Because if you're trying to do 100% every single workout, sure, it'll be cool, but it's going to be detrimental.
You never will. Like if you try to do 100% every single workout, you're never going to achieve your true 100% or go beyond it.
You won't, no.
Yeah.
You'll just actually end up tearing yourself down a little. You know, you'll start doing 5 reps instead of 7, and be like, oh, well, I did 100% of the weight, but for less reps. That's not 100% effort then. That's actually a lot less. That's only 60% effort, actually. But, you know, well, there's so many. Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's what can I do to leave it all here to where I'll be better the next time I come in, no matter what goes on. You know.
Yeah.
And if I can leave someone else even better when they came in, that makes it all worth it too. You know, if I see a buddy hit something they've never done before, and it's like, oh, I played a small part in that somehow. You know, and it's like, oh, I can push myself a little harder next time. You know, seeing someone else working. You know, that's why it's good to have people with the same mindset or, you know, similar goals around you, because like, oh, I can do that. I can throw extra set in or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Make your own potential a responsibility that you hold to yourself and to others.
I like that.
And that reminds me of something we talked about on the last episode. And it was a very emotional part of that episode because it was something that Austin and I actually never knew about before we recorded that. And it was your time that you spent homeless.
Mm.
And I remember, and I'll never forget you talking about this. It's one of those memories that's just kind of imprinted in my mind. You said you'll never be back there again.
Mm-mm. No.
And I think, you know, whether it's powerlifting or whether it's your education or your professional development, I see you moving in this continual direction of strength and growth and new potential. And it's like every step you take is taking you further and further from that point of where you were homeless. What does it mean now, knowing the path you're on with pursuing law school and pursuing national and professional competitions in powerlifting? What does that mean to you now compared to that man you were years ago who battled homelessness? What do you think that man years ago would think of the person you are now?
I kind of felt like I was just stuck there. You know, I was just, this is what it is. Like, what do I have to do to survive? What do I have to do to you know, make it to tomorrow, you know? I'm not really struggling in that way, I guess. It's more of a, well, honestly, I didn't even know it was a thing. Like, I don't know. Never really took time to think about it. You know, I think about it every once in a while, not too often anymore. You know, I don't really. Yeah. It was a very reckless time. I had a lot going on that was very self-destructive.
Well, and the reason I asked that, because I think a lot of us feel the similar kind of relationship to our former selves under different circumstances, but the man you are today, in a way, has that same duty and responsibility to that man who said, "I'll never be here again."
Right.
And how you live every day now,
yeah, no, absolutely,
ensures that you will never be there again.
Yeah, I think that's why, you know, you try to think about it, and, you know, honestly, you just think it, you just laugh because it's like, that was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. But that's where I was. That was my reality at the time. You know, that's just what had happened in life. And I just like, how do I not, to never be there again? You just think like, okay, well, what's the most I can do to ensure that never happens? You know, you almost become, I wouldn't say infatuated, but I mean, I don't know. You have to be passionate about it for sure. You have to have some kind of passion to where you're willing to accept the responsibilities of where you were to get out of there and accept and be passionate about, okay, now how do I get to where I want to go? You have to be willing to not be okay and be like, okay, that really does need work. Like something needs to happen inside me, around me, whatever, to make. I have to accept the responsibility of what I did to learn to not be there again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, when we had Natalie on last week, she had a really good perspective on this, because when her son was going through cancer for 3.5 years, she stopped training, and she said the way she says it, she ate her way through her child's cancer, basically. Like, she put on like 80 pounds, got over 200 pounds on a 5'1" frame, and she, talked about that person who she was.
Yeah.
And what was unique about it is she didn't look back on that with like a shameful mindset or a negative attitude towards that person, or like a resentment towards that person. She gave that person a lot of grace.
Yeah.
And she said, that woman was strong. She fought through that the best she knew how and the best she had a capability to. And she's like, I'm proud of that person for getting through that.
100%.
And she's like, I'm gonna live every day to make that person proud of who I am now. Like if that person knew who they were gonna become, they would be starstruck.
Yeah, because I didn't know a year ago I could just walk down to a law firm and apply for a job.
Yeah.
Like that, and completely blew my mind. It's like, they're like, oh, well, we're glad you walked down here. We didn't know where to look. And I was like, what? Like, yeah, they're like, we didn't know anybody to do this job. And I'm just sitting there flabbergasted, like, well, I didn't know I told them, like, I didn't know I could just walk down here and apply. They're like, well, we're glad you did. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Those little things that you want in life. There we go. Those little things that you want in life that you think are absolutely out of reach, absolutely ridiculous. Someone is waiting for you to just walk in there and do it. Someone is sitting there waiting for me to smash this dot score so I can go to nationals. Be like, you know what? I knew he could do it. Someone is, like you said, that's crazy. See, we go through so many different emotions. Yeah. We make it personal. We make it about, helping other people. They're trying to find a balance in that. And that's why I said what you need in that moment is what you're going to need for that lift. And there's so many different things that we go through as a lifter, as an athlete, as a trainer, as all this stuff. It's a wild ride. But there's so many things that we go through that the answer to it was just asking. Like, hey, how do I squat 700? And someone can be like, well, how much do you do now? Well, 683. Okay, do this, and do it after, then do this next. Bless you.
Sorry about that.
But no, yeah, it blew my mind. When I went down to the law firm for my interviews, I was so nervous. And they were just sitting there waiting for someone to walk through, literally waiting for someone to walk through the door because they didn't know who to ask. And here comes Paul walking through the door. No idea that they were just waiting for someone to walk through the door. You never know what opportunity you're going to miss or make because you just show up. Because most people won't.
Yeah. Tear down all limitations and accept the responsibility and the duty of your own potential.
Yeah. Anticipating consequences.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
Consequences are not a bad thing. They're not a negative thing. They're a result of an action. Whether they're positive or negative is up to our perspective.
I love that, man. Love that. Austin, you got anything else today?
No, today was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, if people want to follow along, watch your powerlifting journey, watch your growth in strength, and see you smash some big numbers at this upcoming meet, where can they find you?
On Instagram, it's Beast Coast Pablo. All one word.
Yeah, I love that, man.
BEASTCOASTPABLO.
And you work with a couple companies now as an affiliate.
Yeah.
Where can people go on to get some discounts for some good products?
Can't forget about that. Shout out to Octane Energy, one of the realest. They're great people. I literally reached out to them, and they contacted me, and code Paul OK, PAULOK.
Is it Paul OK?
Yeah, Paul OK.
Okay. See, I always thought it was Pollock. Like, isn't that like a mining tool or something?
Right.
Like, I was like, that's a pretty sweet name.
Octane Energy. And they're coming out with a new flavor soon.
What is it, blueberry lemonade?
Blueberry lemonade,
man, dude. I'm pumped for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be
We're
wild.
gonna pre-order so much of that. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
They've been great, Tony and her husband.
Yeah, they're phenomenal people, phenomenal company. We've chatted with them a little bit about some marathon stuff, and we're gonna do some video shoots for them that Paul's gonna be featured in. So we're very excited for that.
Yeah, they've been great. Then I got an affiliate code with Pioneer.
Yeah.
So that is actually code Beast Coast. I use their knee sleeves, wrist wraps, and powerlifting belt.
Heck yeah.
And I mean, as soon I was in my end of halfway through prep, so I was in my heavier sets, and the knee sleeves were just ready to go.
Heck
I mean, they were ready for the demand,
They're supporting a lot of weight too.
Yeah, there's a lot that comes. There's a lot of confidence that comes in having the right equipment, and that's another thing. Learn what you need, learning. Being comfortable, being confident, makes your lifts that just much better.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Absolutely. So, Paul OK at Octane. I think it's octaneenergy.com, but if you search Octane Energy Drink, they'll pop up. Great product, great formulation. And what is the code again for Pioneer?
Beast Coast.
Beast Coast at Pioneer.
Yeah.
Austin, you got anything else, man?
No.
All right, where can people find you?
Austin_strength.
And I am at impossible.performance on Instagram. We are now on YouTube at Impossible Performance. You can see a lot of our athlete promotional videos, our product promotional videos, as well as we've got a whole line of educational content for you guys coming out on that platform related to powerlifting, running, and many other things. And we are now on TikTok as well.
Oh, wow.
We have entered the TikTok sphere.
Yo.
We are there's at Team Impossible, and there's Team Impossible 1. Now those usernames might change up a little bit, but you'll recognize our logos. You'll recognize my picture in the profile picture on those. So join us on there. Look at some of the videos, some of the content we're putting out on there. And also, guys, check the show notes for some of the brands we have the honor to work with. King and Fifth especially. Austin and I are always wearing their hats, whether it's for like casual wear, whether it's for active wear, or anything in between. They absolutely have the right hat for you. So go online, check out King and Fifth at kingandfifth.co, and use the code Impossible Performance at checkout. And guys, we are going back to Columbus Marathon this year. Paul's running with us. Austin's running with us. We have 32 people signed up this year. If you would like to be a part of Team Impossible, helping to inspire and motivate kids battling all forms of childhood illness, reach out to us at impossibleperformance.com or reach out to us on social media. We can get in contact with you there. We can get you signed up for the race. Or if you don't want to run any part of the race, but you do want to help fundraise for kids battling cancer, if you want to become a children's champion, reach out to us as well, and we'll get you hooked up with that. This year, we want to bring more children's champions, advocates for children battling childhood illness, than have ever been brought to the Columbus Marathon. So thank you guys, as always, for listening. We've got some big announcements coming up with some different athletes we're working with, but be on the lookout for Paul's full video vlog of his upcoming competition to see how he comes out and performs. Watch him face the impossible, watch him be impossible, and watch him do the impossible. Paul, we're honored to have you as part of the team, brother, and best wishes for the upcoming comp and as you pursue nationals and pro meets.
Yeah. Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, always an honor having you here, bro.
It's going to be a beautiful thing to be able to see it so well documented, too. So
absolutely.
Awesome. Makes it that much cooler. But also, just the experience of, like, I was there. Yeah. Like, okay, what can we really do? And it's going to be amazing thing to try. Go for. Do it.
It's It's going to be a great day, man.
It is.
Great day. So, guys, at Impossible Performance, we are striving to build a global culture of strength, fostering a spirit of growth in constant pursuit of the impossible. Take care. Thank you for listening. And as always, be impossible.